And although it hurts, there's nothing I wouldn't do. I've come to terms over you. And although it hurts, there's nothing I wouldn't do. But I am outplayed, but I don't mind, no, that I got outplayed, 'cause I'ma need an upgrade. But I am outplayed, but I don't mind, no.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, people.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. Today is Wednesday. It is April 28, 2021. James Bubba Williams, also known as DJ Exclusive. How are you this morning?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Doing pretty good, brother. How about you, Ben?
I'm doing good, man. I'm feeling rested and rejuvenated. I'm starting to actually get a good night's worth of sleep again for the first time in a long time, man. So just ready.
That's good.
Yeah, man, it's hard. It's I don't know. The older I get, the less sleep I seem to get. Even though the older I get, the more sleep I need. You know?
Right.
I'm like, and then if I don't get a good night, then it's gonna be like in the middle of the day, somewhere around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I'm gonna be nodding off like an old man. So I guess the moral of
that's me. Wednesdays are my challenge days because I swear around 1 or 2 o'clock, it's like that's when the conference calls start picking up a whole lot. And man, I
feel it, man. That's where I am. Exactly. That's why I hope like everything I do after 1 o'clock on a Wednesday is like cameras off. Because if you see me, you're gonna see me like, and then I have to lie and say I'm meditating. I'm meditating. Good morning to everybody in the chat room across all the platforms, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, all the places that we're streaming. Be sure to click that like, share, and subscribe button. And we're going to jump right into the news. The CDC is loosening mask rules. On Tuesday, the Center for Disease Control released updated guidelines detailing the types of behaviors and activities that people who have been vaccinated can safely undertake. Here are a list of items that fully vaccinated people can engage in without wearing masks per the updated guideline. Number one, you can walk, run, hike, or bike outdoors alone with members of your household. Two, you can attend small outdoor gatherings, fully vaccinated people, family, and friends. Attending small outdoor gatherings with a mixture of fully vaccinated and unvaccinated people. And finally, you can dine at outdoor restaurants with friends from multiple households. Let's take a look at the brief clip of the announcement from Tuesday.
If you are fully vaccinated, things are much safer for you than those who are not yet fully vaccinated. This guidance will help you, your family, and your neighbors make decisions based on the latest science and allow you to safely get back to things you love to do. I am optimistic that people will use this information to take personal responsibility to protect themselves and to protect others, and I hope will encourage people to get fully vaccinated. There are many situations where fully vaccinated people do not need to wear a mask, particularly if they are outdoors, as shown by the graphic on the right. If you are fully vaccinated and want to attend a small outdoor gathering with people who are vaccinated and unvaccinated, or dine at an outdoor restaurant with friends from multiple households, the science shows if you are vaccinated, you can do so safely, unmasked.
Now, we want to compare this to the information that is being passed along by Fox News host Tucker Carlson, because on Monday night, Tucker Carlson went into a full tirade suggesting that people should confront anyone who is wearing a mask because it is performative. And the dangerous thing about that is that Tucker Carlson absolutely gets more views and more viewers more ratings than the CDC announcement. And so what we're faced with is the competition between actual information based on scientific research and propaganda that's being forwarded by outlets like Fox News. That said, we can loosen our mask restrictions outdoors. The problem is compounded by the fact that we have so many people who are insisting that they should not have to wear a mask at all. It has become a political statement, and it has gone so far as to extending over into the vaccination conversation. A school in South Florida, a Miami private school, has told teachers and employees not to get the COVID-19 vaccine, citing false information and unsubstantiated anti-vaccination theories. I really have to stop drinking cold stuff in the mornings because it just absolutely tears my mouth apart. Right. Yesterday, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was asked about the school's policy. Let's take a look at that.
On behalf of our Miami TV station, you may have seen this report about a private school in Miami that's telling its staff and teachers not to get the COVID vaccine, and they're threatening to terminate their employment if they do get it. These teachers are being forced to choose between their job and their health. Obviously, there's not much the White House specifically can do. Does it have any comment on this situation, and any idea if there's anything federal authorities can do to help the teachers in this case?
That's a good question. In terms of helping the teachers, I'll have to check with the Department of Education. I'd send you to them as well, of course. Obviously, our objective is continuing to convey that it's important to abide by public health guidelines, that they're in place for a reason, that they are not done through a political prism. They are done by medical experts, by health experts, intended to keep children safe, keep parents safe, keep teachers safe, keep communities safe, which is why we recommend people abide by them.
Now, the school is called Center Academy, and it said until further notice, it is asking any employee who has not yet received the COVID-19 vaccine to wait to do so until the end of the school year. Here's an excerpt from the email sent to parents, and it read following, quote, "We also recommended that all faculty and staff hold off on taking the injection until there is further research available on whether this, quote, experimental drug is impacting unvaccinated individuals." My goodness. It is also our policy, to the extent possible, not to employ anyone who has taken the experimental COVID-19 injection until further information is known. James, I'm not even sure what to say about this level of stupidity, because we have this, the framing, they're saying, we hope that you won't take the vaccine until we can see the type of effect that it has on unvaccinated people. That's a level of stupidity, man, that, I ain't trying to clown Miami and Florida because I'm from there, but my God, that's right up there along the lines of Florida, man, kind of stupid.
Bro, I'm almost like, is this real?
It's
like, this is crazy. Like, even vaccinated or not, bro, I'm still going to have my mask on. Right. At the end of the day, it's like, only thing the vaccine is helping us do is fight this. It's helping us not get as sick as we normally would if we didn't have the vaccine.
Exactly.
And honestly, excuse me,
I'm not interested in getting comfortable. It. Exactly.
Okay. I don't feel comfortable going around anybody, especially if I can still get it and still pass it on to my family. No, not taking that risk. Mask will be on, dude. Mask will be on at all times.
And that's the sad thing about it, man. The sad thing about it is that wearing a mask is really protection for other people. And this just shows you how utterly selfish so many people are. It's not only the politicization of this, man. It's also the fact that it is a level of selfishness that we are seeing, because people feel they understand the very fundamental principle that if they don't wear a mask, they can infect other people. But they won't get infected by somebody else wearing a mask. So they're out there really putting other people's lives at risk for politics and for their selfishness. And it just blows me, man. It blows me. Now, this school in Miami, Center Academy, is saying that they're floating this idea that this experimental drug right, is impacting unvaccinated individuals. There's absolutely nothing that shows anything remote. There's no bit of research that shows this. There's no report that shows this. There's no analysis that shows this. This is 100% the deranged mind of some school official who probably is a Donald Trump supporter. I'm being real. Like, let's just keep it 100. It's probably some Donald Trump supporter who's watching Tucker Carlson every night, and now they're trying to spread this idea that the vaccine itself can have a negative impact on unvaccinated individuals, which is absolutely untrue. And now they've gone so far as to say, we are not going to try. We're going to do our best. And this is their exact phrase: to the extent possible, not to employ anyone who has taken the experimental COVID-19. Listen, it's experimental only to the extent that it hasn't been out for more than a couple of months. But we have like 200 million people in this country, a large amount of people in this country who have already taken the vaccine and who are doing fine. And for them to be putting this out there, I just think I don't know, man. It doesn't bode well for humanity, man. Folks are really dumb.
Yeah, man. It made absolutely no sense. And looking at the roll of the footage of the school, it sounds about right.
It, man. Listen, listen. You know, listen. This is definitely some Miami. This private school. These are some rich folks who are like, we're not going to wear them. We need Rebecca be here in a minute, but we need her to do her preppy voice, because they're like, oh my God, we're absolutely not going to be hiring anybody who has a vaccine because it can infect. It's a level of absurdity. Wait, you mean it? Oh my God.
Oh
I just can't deal.
I can't believe this.
I honestly can't.
It makes no sense, dude. I don't get it. This is really crazy. Like, literally, I'm looking at this like, y'all, this has to be fake. This can't be real. This can't be real. When I saw the headline, I thought the same thing, man. And this is after almost 600,000 people in this country alone have died from COVID-19. And they fear that I could not possibly write fiction that is more absurd than what's happening in this country right now. There's not a storyline like the movie. I think a lot of people have seen Idiocracy. As stupid as things were in that movie, I promise you, America is even dumber right now. Yeah. Right. And the fact that we could look at 600,000 people dead and think that the proper step, that these fools down in Miami could think that the proper step is to not employ anybody who's been vaccinated and to tell the rest of their employees who haven't been vaccinated to don't get vaccinated, because we think for some reason they probably pulled this up off of some random YouTube channel, some random website. They think that this is going to have an adverse effect on people who have not been vaccinated, which is patently absurd. What do they think is going to happen? Those of us who've gotten vaccinated, we're just going to be like sweating out like toxins that are going to get them sick. Like how do they expect us, that something that is in our blood now is inside of us? How do they expect those of us who have been vaccinated to have an adverse effect on people who have not been vaccinated? It is a level of stupidity and absurdity that I thought we would only see in movies, but apparently real life is dumber than fiction. So. Yeah, agreed. And then been looking at a clip from the roll that we had. I was just about to say that statement right there. This sounds like this is stemming from the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which only 7 people. 7 out of 7 million. As 7 million people. 7 people. Let me read that one for the audience that's listening. Please read that. This is for the audience that's listening. It says tens of thousands of women all over the world have recently been reporting adverse reproductive issues from being in close. And this is from the Center Academy. Let me start again, because I want to make sure that you understand that this is BS. OK, this is not accurate. This is based on just stupidity. I can't even say it's based on erroneous information. This is just based on some dumb shit. OK. All right. This is what the Center Academy sent out to families. They said tens of thousands of women all over the world have recently been reporting adverse reproductive issues from being in close proximity with those who have received any one of the COVID-19 injections. For example, irregular menses, bleeding, miscarriages, and postmenopausal hemorrhaging. This is absolutely
untrue.
What the
and
hell?
Yet they're making right. So it would be different if they had said, "Oh, well, we want you to be concerned about the Johnson & Johnson because of the reported blood clots, and they suspended." And then if they had accurate information, then they would say, even though it's been suspended, it has been reinstituted, and it was only 7 out of 7 million people, about 1 in a million people who got blood clots. If it was based on anything tangibly accurate. But it's not. And I want to read this last quote here. This is reporting from the New York Times. It says, quote, Ms. Center required the faculty and staff to fill out a, quote, confidential form revealing whether they had received a vaccine, and if so, which one and how many doses, or plan to get vaccinated. The form requires employees to, quote, acknowledge the school would take legal measures needed to protect the students if it is determined that I have not answered these questions accurately. Brother, I don't think that there's any hope for humanity when this level of stupidity is in position of authority in our education system, right? We've always had this level of ignorance, but now this level of stupidity has gone over into, hell, it went all the way to the White House. Right. It was the president of the United States for the last 4 years. It's on television every night in the form of Tucker Carlson. It is on podcasting, the biggest podcast in the world, Joe Rogan Experience. He's spreading that same misinformation, and it is to the detriment of so many lives because we are not out of this pandemic yet. So people, please, we're going to go to a break, but please do not listen to Fox News. Don't listen to these podcasters who get paid millions of dollars every year to lie to you and to scare you. Please listen to the actual scientists. Get vaccinated. And James, take us to a break, more like it or not, after this.
Make sure that you do your own research, y'all, and get informed. My God, today, that's crazy. Good morning, everybody. Welcome again to Like It or Not. We hope you are enjoying thus far. Make sure that you hit that like button, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff so you know what Like It or Not is going down, y'all. Good morning, Mama Gwen and Daddy Andrew. Make sure she heard it this time. Good morning, Mama. Love you. And good morning, Sensation.
When I get you back, oh yeah.
Purple Rain Hearts, good morning. Nick, good morning. Chuck Diesel, shout out Chuck Diesel. I see you in the building. Good morning, y'all. Mark from Australia, good morning, sir.
There's no one else.
At least I see you up there in the chat as well, too. I love you, too, sister.
I won't let you down.
Laura, good morning. Shout out to Nat A, Nat M in the building, and all the Rebecca's in the chat as well, too. All the Rebecca's is out today.
Oh, please say that.
Brother Latif, it get a 9, what's going on? Brenda Savage, sweetheart. Man, there's so many of y'all. I'm getting out of breath. Evergreen, good morning, good morning.
No, I don't want to lose you. Baby, don't go.
Richard Fairchild, we thank you for your super chat. He says, for my vaccinated people. Yes, sir. Let's get it. Mina, good morning. We love you too. Duda 1969, good morning. DGMG Nico, good morning. Happy Wednesday, Esther. Good morning to you. Shirley, good morning. Shout out to everybody that's streaming on Twitch, Facebook, wherever you streaming from, y'all. Thank you so much. Make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe, y'all.
I don't want to lose you. I hope you feel that way too. No, I don't want to lose you. Baby, don't go. Oh, when I get you back, oh yeah. I promise you'll never leave me. When it comes to you and me, there's no one else.
Paul March, good morning, good morning.
When I get you back,
Adam Fox, good morning to you. William Moore, good morning.
When I get you back, oh yeah. When I get you back, oh yeah.
had me from the start. By the way you stared, the way you wrote it for me, yeah. Man, I felt your energy.
And make sure that if you're not a member of the Patreon, make sure that you join patreon.com/likeitordnot. Patreon.com/likeitordnot, y'all. Get exclusive content, get access to the Patreon parties, and get access to the after party as well too, y'all. So make sure that you sign up today.
Baby, keep it right there. Don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up. We should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus. Don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you. Baby, don't
Lonzy, good morning, good morning.
Baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby,
Purple Rain Hearts, this is Spring Game. I'm sorry, this is Catnip. Catnip. Catnip featuring King Sis. It's called Switch Up the Vibe, y'all.
Been down and back and forth in merry-go-round. I just want.
And right now, we are going to switch up the vibe. We got coming back to the screen, Ben and our sister from another mister, Rebecca. You got to put the ER on there. Rebecca. Okay, Rebecca, I see you.
Hey, look, because
actually I don't see her yet. Let me pull my screen up. Oh, hey sis, how you doing?
The wig didn't have time. The wig
didn't have time.
No time.
I love it though.
Thank you.
Anyway, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, non-gender conforming individuals. Rebecca, we just got through talking about this dumbass school.
I know. I heard out of Miami.
In Miami.
Out of Miami.
I would love to say it had to be Miami, but it's not just Miami, man. This kind of stupidity is going all around the country, and I just never would imagine, and I guess that's just my naivete, that people would be so damn stupid that they would rather catch COVID-19 than to do what scientists say. I just feel like we humanity's in trouble. That's all I got.
It really is. I said something in the chat where you guys were speaking, and it's just basically that. Why do people? I remember there was a time, Fox News, everyone else, the radical right, the radical left, everybody cited the CDC when they wanted to back up their research or back up some things that particularly sounded nonsense to us, but they would go to the CDC website or pull it up on their phones and say, well, this is what the CDC says, and now everything the CDC is saying right now as it regards to the vaccination or the disease isn't true. And I don't get how that is, but it's the hypocritical side of America that, that's rearing its head once again. It always does. But people are just going to learn, particularly with that school in Miami. I feel some kind of way about them telling them they can't take the vaccine.
Right.
It's one thing to say, hey, I know some of you may not feel comfortable right now taking the vaccine, so it's optional for you guys to take the vaccine. For the ones who don't, you guys won't be allowed to be back in the building, those kind of things. But for saying that you can't take the vaccine and work here, that's ridiculous. That to me is absurd. And that's why, and it could possibly be Superintendent Karen, right? It could be Principal Karen. It could be the advisor Karen or Ken, however, it could also be some of the folks who look like us who just don't believe, who believe in also those theories as well.
We out there. There's so many black folks. There's so many black folks. If you take the vaccine, they're going to call you a sheep. When did it become the radical kind of thing or the woke thing to be ignorant and to ignore science, right? Because at this juncture, it's like they would rather believe that Bill Gates put a chip in the vaccine. And if you take the vaccine, you got the mark of the beast. Like, this is the stuff that's really going through all the communities. But this is what I've heard specifically in the black community. Like, the mark of the beast is in the vaccine. And I'm like, y'all, when did because the people who say that, they swear they're radical. Like, they swear like they're the height of woke. Like, they've got the third eye. They swear that they've got more wisdom than everybody else. And I'm just sitting back looking at y'all like, y'all so dumb. But you can't tell them nothing.
Right. Now, and I do know that part of that, stems from, I'm going to show my age a little bit. the Tuskegee experiment, and everybody having that narrative because they.
Well, you ain't that old.
I'm not, but I remember a lot.
I know what you mean.
Stuff. Yeah. Right. So it comes from the Tuskegee experiment. Then the other part of that is it just seemed like a lot of the vaccine stuff changed, and I'm talking about the regular vaccines. Meeps, what is it? Measles,
MMR,
mumps, the MMR. Yeah. So that vaccine, I know it started deterring a lot of people. Like in the early 2000s, it just seems like that's when everything happened. So when this happened, it's just like. This is something completely goddamn different, y'all. Come on, and now.
That's the thing. Like, well, real quick. The thing is like there has been. You're right. There has been, and maybe it existed before the early 2000s, but I kind of time at the same time as you. As far as I can remember, James, the anti-vax movement really has started to pick up since the 2000s, right?
Yes.
And it's so bad that we've had measles outbreaks. You're right. They targeted the MMR shot and said, oh, don't get that because it does this. It causes autism. All these erroneous things that are not backed up by science at all. And then we started having outbreaks of measles. And I'm like, what's next, y'all? Are we gonna start seeing polio come back because you dummies don't want to get vaccinated? It's just, it blows me, man.
So I'm sorry, no, it's fine. For people in the comment section, I definitely understand. They're asking me, what would be the cause of me not getting the vaccine? And I was saying, like, it would be fear for something to happen to me because I am, I have other situations with me health wise. So that would be the only thing. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I would rather not be sick. Right. I would rather not be sick or get people sick. But for those I won't shame those who are afraid to get the vaccine. Wear your mask. Don't try not to go out as much. Keep yourself protected as you are getting over the fear, as you are educating yourself correctly on the vaccines, and then you finally get to that point where you do get the vaccine. Please just wear your mask, while you're getting over the fear, because I believe that, eventually you'll be okay to go get the vaccine. I definitely understand. But for those who are, just being disrespectful, saying that the vaccine is X, Y, and Z when it's not, that it does this and that and when it doesn't, and telling the CDC that they're not, because I remember everybody used the CDC guidelines when it was time to come out of them offices. They were saying 50, if it's 50 people in the room, y'all got to go. Like, I remember it was 100, then it went down to 50 and people were like, oh, I got to go home. It's 50 people, But now the CDC is saying, go ahead and get the vaccine and things like that. And now people are standing back. As far as with the Johnson & Johnson one, I know it was just 7 people, but I love that Johnson & Johnson pulled it because those 7 people happen to be women. And, that particular demographic from a certain age group, they need to definitely study on that because I wouldn't want to be that one person who got that vaccine. And, because of my history when it comes to my health, it would have been an issue. You know what I mean? Like, so we want to make sure that women are feeling comfortable enough to take the vaccine. So. And
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't play with the blood clots situation with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine or the AstraZeneca vaccine, right? But the flip side of it is that if you catch COVID-19, you're like 25% likely to get blood clots as opposed to like 1 in a million chances of getting blood clots with the different vaccines. Now, I don't want to, I agree with you. I don't want to be the one. Right. So, I am, who was that we were speaking to? We were speaking with somebody a week or two ago, and they were like, they were like, just like you said, Rebecca, that they were glad that Johnson & Johnson pulled it because when they pulled it, they can instill more confidence and figure out exactly the appropriate way to address those 6 or 7 out of 7 million, right? And so I appreciate that amount of concern. The only problem I have with the vaccines, to be honest with you, is the fact that they're making billions and billions and billions of dollars of profit off of it. But so far, all of the science shows that we are safe to take the vaccine. And they're not only, the morons are not only striking at whether or not you take the vaccine, they're also striking at whether or not you're going to wear a mask. And so they're doing 2 things at once. They're saying, don't get the vaccine and don't wear a mask, which is absolutely the rest. And don't stay at home, right? They're saying, go back to the bars, don't get the vaccine, and don't wear a mask.
Put people at risk.
Absolutely going to put people at risk and get somebody killed. It's absolutely absurd.
And that's to me where the issue lies. It's like we're still in the pandemic at the end of the day. at the beginning of the day and in the middle of the day. We're still in it's still in a pandemic. So I need for, and although I could say this, but me saying this to our beautiful, wonderful audience, and Tucker Carlson saying what he says to the masses of his clan, it's we're outnumbered. So we are. Those people are literally going to be out, and we thought we had the anti-maskers. That was a thing for a while. And we were all like recording those Karens and all those people and fighting them at the Walmarts, and those things were happening. But it's going to get worse when it's almost as if he's telling them to go out and fight for your right to make people sick, your right to potentially put people at risk, your right to have these clubs at capacity, Haitian folks, your right to be in the restaurants over capacity, your right, to just not wear a mask around older people and children. And it's just like, you're just saying to go out and put people at risk to possibly kill them and live your life YOLO. You only got one. So
that is exactly what Tucker Carlson. I'm going to try to find that clip. David, if you can find that clip of Tucker Carlson, it's everywhere on Twitter right now. But he is literally telling people to go out and confront people wearing masks, and that is, that dude gets $10 million a year to tell people, because first of all, you come and confront me about wearing a mask, you're gonna get your ass beat. Let's just like, I might lose, but we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out that day. You come and he told people to call Child Protective Services on parents who have their children wearing masks. And I'm like, I hope it
reverses when they do that. I hope they go find his kids if he has
Exactly. Right. He's going to get, not only is he going to get his supporters killed because of COVID-19, right? He's going to get them mollywopped because he's telling them to go and attack people who are trying to do their best to be good citizens and protect other people. And if nothing else, forget about being a good citizen. Like, damn it, I'm going to keep wearing a mask. I'm going to not go into all these places because I'm trying to protect my children. Like, forget about my neighbor. I could bring this thing home to my kids, and while the odds are low that they will get severely sick, there have been children who've died from this. And I'm with you on that one, Rebecca. When you said with the vaccine, you don't want to be the 1 in a million. I don't want my children to be the 1 in a million that die from COVID-19, because you never know. And so just the fact that this kind of misinformation gets millions of views every single night, and it becomes such a part of the national conversation that the president of the United States and the press secretary and the CDC has to address the stupidity that comes from people like Tucker Carlson.
Yes. Hey, and I got to read through some Liu Kang real quick. Liu Kang said, I'm not going to lose, and they're going to lose teeth and consciousness. And since I'm wearing a mask, no face, no case. F around and find out. And that's on Mary Had a Goddamn Lamb.
Telling you.
But we're getting good at it. With the mask, I've been getting good at looking at the eyes like,
Yes. Right, Rebecca. I see them eyes.
But it's okay. I know who you are.
I like the anonymity of it. Like, I wear 2 masks and I wear a face shield and I put my hoodie on top of my head, and I swear nobody gonna ever know. Like, I could slide up anywhere. So I'm gonna be wearing masks for the next 2-3 years. I'm just supposed to slide up into the spots, just completely anonymous, and just, live my life. But that said, Tucker Carlson gonna get his followers. He gonna get somebody's head split. You can't run up on parents. You cannot run up on parents and address their children.
Right.
You can run up on me and I might be like, take a step back and try to assess the situation, right? But you run up on me about my children. I mean, it's like, it's just nature and it's law, it's custom. You cannot mess with people about their children. And that's exactly what Tucker Carlson told them to do. And they gonna get their feelings hurt. Yeah. So
a super chat real quick. Right. Gail Hafner said, it's like the abortion birth control issue. Don't get an abortion. I won't cover your birth control. Controlling your body because I don't agree with science.
Controlling their bodies because they don't believe in science. Dwayne, let me know when you get that Tucker Carlson. Okay, so we do have it. So let's take a look at this clip from Tucker Carlson as he encourages his supporters to get their feelings hurt.
Not even Tony Fauci still pretends that masks are medically necessary. Instead, masks are purely a sign of political obedience, like Kim Il-sung pins in Pyongyang. We wear them because we have to. The only people who wear masks voluntarily outside are zealots and neurotics. How neurotic are they? Well, we know. A Pew survey from last March found that 64% of white Americans who classify themselves as liberal or very liberal have been diagnosed with an actual mental health condition. And you see them everywhere when you walk down the street in any major city. If you dare to go on foot from Union Station to the Capitol, for example, in Washington without wearing a mask, angry Biden voters will snort at you in judgment. How could you, they're saying from behind the gauze. How could you? That's the question we should be asking of them in return. The rest of us should be snorting at them first. They're the aggressor. It's our job to brush them back and restore the society we were born in. So the next time you see someone in a mask on the sidewalk or on the bike path, do not hesitate. Ask politely but firmly, would you please take off your mask? Science shows there is no reason for you to be wearing it. Your mask is making me uncomfortable. We should do that, and we should keep doing it until wearing a mask outside is roughly as socially accepted as lighting a Marlboro in an elevator.
His hair is so dumb.
It's repulsive. Don't do it around other people.
He dumb.
That's the message we should send, because it's true. As for forcing children to wear masks outside, that should be illegal. Your response when you see children wearing masks as they play should be no different from your response to seeing someone beat a kid in Walmart. Call the police immediately. Contact Child Protective Services. Keep calling until someone arrives. What you're looking at is abuse. It's child abuse, and you are morally obligated to attempt to prevent it.
Why?
If it's your own children being abused,
this man dumb as hell.
Honestly, I felt dumber. I felt stupid. I felt like I needed to shield my mind.
Your brain cells were
because they were fried at the time. And
I watched it last, it came on TV. I'm surfing the channel and he popped up and I said, let me watch it. Let's see what happens. I couldn't get past 30 seconds of it, y'all.
It's the flip in the back of his head. It's like he wakes up in the morning. It's like a duck flip, if y'all really look at it. It's like he brushes the hair and then there's like a flip right here in the back that's there every time I see him. I'm like, is that some kind of signature thing? It's on the other side, but where the bayang is, right there. It's just like, what is happening? It's giving a duck. But for me watching that, it's funny, but look at that. It's funny, but it's dangerous, because this man said politely walk up to
politely but firmly.
Politely but firmly walk up to me. Imagine if somebody will stand their ground. Right? Stand their ground. Right?
Bang, bang.
And now you ain't got no life. Right? You know what I'm saying? And hopefully it's not a black person, because we know that cops is going to be all stupid and extra. But I will smack if I'm with my nephew or my niece and they come up to me and tell me that I should say, I'm fighting you on sight. I'm jewelry on and everything. I will drag that. Do not ever come at me and speak on my children. Do not ever, and don't even speak to me about anything.
Exactly.
I will smack the white off of you and leave you skeletal.
Because that's who's gonna do this.
Off of you.
Because that's gonna do it. I'm telling you.
Don't play. That just upset me. Do not think that it's okay, and do not give people the permission, especially not your people, the permission and the good year of our Lord, 2021, to come and walk up to somebody and tell them that their kid shouldn't have a mask on firmly.
I'm telling you.
Oh God!
I'm looking around like you talking to who you talking to? You talking to me?
Tucker
I didn't think so.
Tucker gonna get his audience members dragged in the streets, and they're gonna have a lot of videos of it, and I'm gonna share every single one of them. I'm gonna share every single one of them. Let's go over to Louisiana real quick. There's a very short clip of something that is just as stupid as Tucker Carlson. On Tuesday, in the Louisiana House of Representatives, Representative Wade Garofalo introduced a bill that would require all public schools and universities in the state to teach, quote, the good parts about slavery, along with the bad. Garofalo is the head of the Louisiana House Education Committee. Let's take a listen, and you have to listen really closely. It is a quick clip, but take a listen in.
But what is a larger course of academic instruction?
If you're having a discussion on whatever the case may be on slavery, then you can talk about everything dealing with slavery, the good, the bad, the ugly.
There's no good to slavery, though.
Well, then whatever the case may be.
whatever the case may be, Garofalo, his bill would also ban the teaching of the idea that the United States or Louisiana is, quote, systemically racist or sexist. The vote ended up being a 7-7 deadlock, meaning the bill would not move forward to be voted on by the full House, but it also means that the bill hasn't officially been killed and could be revived later. So in Louisiana, in Miami, they're teaching students and they're telling the parents and the teachers not to get vaccinated. In Louisiana, they're saying that we need to teach our kids that there were good parts about slavery. Rebecca.
So can we play that clip once again? I'm sorry, Dwayne. I wanted to see that clip one more time. I just wanted to look at something real quick.
I know. But what is a larger course of academic instruction?
If you're having a discussion on whatever the case may be on slavery, then you can talk about everything dealing with slavery, the good, the bad, the ugly.
There's no good to slavery, though.
Well, then whatever the case may be.
To wake it up.
Yeah. You saw the eyebrow raise?
Yeah. That was a whole black man next to him. I'm going to need him to shimmy, shake, and slap. The taste that he said that the good, the bad, the ugly. This is the problem. See, we used to live that life back then. But we don't live that life today anymore. We no longer have to sit next to the white person and try to keep our jobs or try to be in the position where it's like, oh man, did he just say that? And I really want to, but I got to be the good black man. We no longer have to do that, sir. Now, you heard that man say the good, the bad, the ugly. Now, the white woman sitting in that seat was like, but there's no good to slavery. And you just sat there, sir. You sat there next to that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Couldn't be me, man.
But that ain't. I don't like that. But that's crazy that some people are still working in these environments, believing that they need to stay quiet so that they don't have any issues going forward for whatever reason. Maybe they want to, have a higher seat, or maybe they were told, hey, if you just go along with what I say, don't you want to better pay? Don't you want to move on up to where we're living? It'll be good for you. You'll be one of the good ones if you just listen to what we say. Just sit there and be quiet. Because if you are able to sit and hear somebody say the good, the bad, the ugly of slavery in education,
when your ass is a descendant, most likely a descendant of an enslaved person. Go ahead.
Right.
Now, that's just it for me. That's all I wanted to see. And I think that he's stuck. He's probably one of those folks that never got out. So
somebody said that's Herschel Walker and Daniel Cameron sitting right there.
They probably the white folks in those in that system probably got to him already. He looks like the man that was doing the full run in the movie Get Out.
He does.
He looks like him. They got him. They got to him.
Rebecca.
He got the Herschel Walker neck too.
Hey man,
he does. I thought it was Herschel Walker for real at first. I'm like, wait.
Hey, I ain't even gonna lie. That was the scariest part of Get Out when that dude start running, like, cause it's instinctive in black people. Like when that man started running in Get Out, I felt like I needed to get up and run out the theater because that's just how intense that thing is for us. But you're right.
Look at his mannerisms. The man is looking down. He's ashamed or he's lost in thought.
Yeah.
He can't look up.
If you look at his face, you'll see his eyebrow go up when he said something about it. But Buddy ain't raised his head. It was just like,
you know why? Because
just like the man in Get Out. It's like there's something, and there's a consciousness in you that's like, oh, I'm black. But then it's like they already performed that mental lobotomy, and now you're just lost. You're stuck in that. So
he knew what was coming. Like before they had a meeting before this whole thing. So he knew. He was like, I just got to sit here next to this man, and he about to be talking foolishness, and I just got to sit here and be the token. He knew.
I'm sorry, my man.
Is that representative? Is the woman on the who actually the only person who actually said something was, I guess that's Representative Hilferty, and she called it instantly. She was like, what good? And our brother sitting right next to them, and see, it's just
unfortunately in the history books, they do talk about how it was good. And we learned that growing up. Never good. God damn it, y'all thought it was good. The
colonizers went to go eat with the Native Americans and sat there and were That's how we got Thanksgiving, right? You know, I love a good Thanksgiving meal, but the history of it ain't real. There was no good there
at all.
You know, when
all.
Christopher Columbus got on his, his boat and founded, discovered the Americas, right? And then he founded the Caribbean. When he got there, he literally tricked them and abused those people who accepted him into their land. There was nothing good about that. Okay,
nothing.
So this is what they try to teach us, and then when it comes to like taking us from our homes and our original places and bringing us here and talking about, us being on the farms, and that's how they wanted to use it. We were helping grow things.
Oh, they made it seem like they civilized us.
Yeah,
that's
so we were helping grow things, and they gave us a home, and then we had Martin Luther King. That they'll go from that straight to Martin Luther King. It's like, wait,
skip over a whole.
What happened in between that? Like, there was something that happened there. I know it was. Can we talk about voting rights? Like, can we talk about that? They'll go into feminism and make it white, but it's right because we're talking about another gender. So we can't be bad people. We cannot be bad people. America made women's rights a thing for just white people. And it's okay. Like, Karen's got an opportunity. So that means America is definitely innovative. It's fresh. It's new. It gets the people going. That's America.
It gets the people going.
That is what they taught us when we was kids. And, we used to take these breaks and give thanks. And, when you're religious, you're not really understanding. Y'all giving thanks to the Lord for another year, another day's journey, being able to just see with your eyes and then hold with your hands and walk with your feet. But in reality, that's, the history of that is terrible. And it's like when we celebrate Christopher Columbus Day, and we used to be, I'll take the day off, but I'll go, celebrate my heritage and the original people, from where I'm from. It's not, it's all these things that they taught us. And that's why it's another dangerous thing to have people like that lead us in education here in America. We had Betsy DeVos, who also was someone who is racist as hell, who was over our education system as well. Like, I just don't understand how we have that as leadership in something so small. Lets me know that if you can come out of your mouth and say the good, the bad, you just, you really thought there was something good in there. Your family probably gave these slaves that they owned a little house up the street.
Little house in Prairie. No, his ass probably definitely owns some inherited a plantation. Right, I guarantee if we did, because he's from Louisiana, if we dig that dude's history up, I guarantee you he has a direct. So for him, there was good for slavery. His family got wealth. White folks in this country who owned slaves generated an obscene amount of wealth. So for them, it was good. But the fact that they are insisting on our schools not teaching the bad, but make sure that we teach the good, it really just shows you where they're trying to strike. They're trying to strike at the core of what helps us to change this system. They're trying to put it in people's minds that there's both sides to every single issue. No, there's no both sides to slavery, right? There's no both sides to white supremacy. There's no both sides to Jim Crow. Y'all were wrong. Your ancestors were wrong. And some of y'all got a lot of wealth in your pockets right now that directly came from the enslavement of black folks. So y'all are wrong and y'all need to pay us reparations. That's it. I want to get one more story in because we're pressed for time. Police, according to a report, police are violating human rights. And this flows directly into this conversation because the systemic killing and maiming of unarmed African Americans by police amount to crimes against humanity that should be investigated and prosecuted under international law. An inquiry into the U.S. police brutality by leading human rights lawyers from around the globe has found among 44 black people who died or were maimed by police and whose cases were put under the commission's spotlight were George Floyd, Sean Bell, who was killed on his wedding day in 2006 after police fired 50 bullets, Eric Gardner, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, Freddie Gray, and Breonna Taylor. Hani Jalani, who is the president of the World Organization Against Torture, said that last week's guilty verdict in the George Floyd killing substantiated the commission's views. And this is what they said, quote, "It clarified for us that the use of force during the arrest of an individual is not just dehumanizing, it clearly amounts to torture and the potential loss of life. So there you go. People around the world are seeing very clearly what people in America are pretending like they can't see still, even though we've had so many cases of police brutality, police murder, killing of unarmed black people, specifically black men. We've seen it every single day in this country, but we still can't call it for what it is. And it took somebody from the international community to call it exactly what it is, which is a crime against humanity.
That's just always how it is. It always leads to, when it comes from someone else, everybody else opening their eyes, because they don't want to be looked at like America is looking crazy again. They know they're looking crazy, but if it's amongst them, they'll continue to look crazy because they know they can spin it and make it seem like they're doing right, and these police are doing right. But when it's always been that way. Slavery isn't good. There's nothing good about it, right? But when somebody else is like, no, it's not good, then they'd be like, well, that's not what I was saying. Then, police killing black folks at a rate that is over the top. They're just killing black folks, period, for no reason. Being called out about it. I can't believe that they have to be called out about it to look at it as an issue, because people have been saying something about it for a long, long time. But when it comes from the mouth of somebody else, now they can be like, you know what? Maybe it is a thing. No matter how many times we've rioted in the streets, we've died for the cause, we've yelled it. Black folks' voices will never be as important as when we're talking about the issue. As somebody from the outside, they'll respect a little bit more.
Well, I don't even think they're going to respect this report. Right? America in general don't respect nobody but white supremacy, right? And we could say that with a full throated, with bass in our voice, because there's no question that America respects white supremacy because they stood down on January 6th when white supremacy attacked this country. Right. Yeah. And so they don't respect anybody. They're not going to look at this report and say, oh, yeah, well, we need to do better because the international community sees what we're doing as. No, they're going to look at it and say, they're not even going to read it. They're not even going to pay attention to it.
They're not going to believe.
Who else is going to cover? Like, we're not even going to get much coverage over this because it's not important to America. What's important to America is white supremacy.
Yeah, I mean, white supremacy always rules. It rules in the police department. It rules in the force. No matter what people, they'll choose to see something, cover it in white supremacy. Look at it through the lens of white supremacy and go with that. I mean, the autopsy of Andrew Brown just came out, right? Mm-hmm. So the family of Andrew Brown Jr., who was killed by police officers last Wednesday, has released an independent autopsy showing that Brown was shot 5 times, including once in the back of his head. The state's autopsy has not yet been released. The autopsy results come a day after Brown's family were shown a 20-second clip of footage from a deputy's body cam, which the family said resembled an execution. I mean, to be shot in the head, my God. Also on Tuesday, the Federal Bureau of Investigation confirmed that it will investigate the killing of Andrew Brown Jr. The civil rights investigations into Brown's and Floyd's killings will look into whether federal laws are broken during those particular arrests, during those particular arrests. In addition to the FBI investigation, the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation is also examining Brown's killing. So I hope, like I said, they choose to look at things through the lens of white supremacy. I hope that when they see this and they hear this and they, are putting these together, the autopsy, the body cam, how they're saying that the killing was somewhat like an execution. Excuse me, the killing was an execution. They understand what they mean by that. Being shot in the back of the head.
Yeah.
The back of the head. Shot 5 times, including once in the back of the head.
The video is, they are finally starting to release some of the footage, and one of the videos shows, and I don't think we have that video, but it shows how the police came to the scene. If you watch that video of how the police came to the scene to kill Andrew Brown Jr., they were all piled up in the back of a pickup truck, like something you would see out of a 1950s movie about the Klan coming to lynch somebody. right? It was like a terror squad. It was a hit squad that drove up to that scene, and that man didn't stand a chance. There was nothing he could have done to avoid his execution because they came up with the intention of doing so. And the fact that he was shot in the back of the head, what killed him was that bullet in the back of the head, lets you know that he wasn't posing these police officers any threat because he was going in the opposite direction of them. But here we are as the city is trying to get their story straight. They're holding back the body cam footage. They're holding back some of the other critical footage. The only thing we've gotten so far is the footage of them driving, of the police officers driving to the scene. But at the same time, this is just a stalling tactic that's giving them time to get their stories together. Not only the police, but you also got to think about the different officials who are there, the district attorney, the prosecuting attorneys. They all work with the police on a regular basis. And so it's impossible for us to actually get justice through a system that's investigating themselves. You can't expect the police to police themselves, but here we are with yet another execution of a black man. And now we're just another hashtag. Unfortunately, another life taken, and we have to sit through this entire process again. And as we sit through this process again, police are going to be killing more people.
Yeah. And look, that's on period. That's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. And we don't say that to put that in the atmosphere, but we just know that's literally what's going to happen. Police are going to continue to murder more black people at higher rates, but they're going to continue to murder whoever they feel like who steps up to them and opposes how they do authority. They're going to shoot first. And that's just something they may not be, I don't know, they may not be trained to do, but then they get together and it's like something that they say, hey, this is okay that we do because nobody should disrespect me because I'm a police officer. So I'm the highest of authority and I'm above the law because I am the law. The law was created to protect them. The law was created to protect them, at all costs. But now we're shining a light on that. But I don't know how much of a light we can shine or how much difference it's going to make. But I'll be glad to see little differences. Right now we're in accountability stage. We got one person that we've held accountable. I would love to see the murderers of Breonna Taylor get indicted. I would love to see, even though
Daniel
they're
Cameron
really framing,
I
would love to see even though they're framing the Micaiah, story to be as just for her not to even be worth anything, which really frustrates me. But I would love to see them hold that officer accountable, because we should not have a system that does this so often that it's normal.
Yeah.
That means abolish it and let's start from scratch. And now include black folks into the conversation. Now, if you want diversity and inclusion, that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have real training. We're going to have to understand what it means to actually police and protect and serve. We got to remove what it was created to be. And now that people are saying, the police came and saved the day, that's what they're here for. We got to start moving in that and create a system that actually speaks to that. So, I mean, until we get there, that's what we're going to keep seeing black bodies fall. And I hate to say it. I hate to say it.
It is. I don't know. I agree with you 100%. It's just the fact that, it's that 1 in a million that you were talking about. You don't want to be the 1 in a million who get the blood clot from the Johnson & Johnson. It's the 1 in a million. I don't want my kids to be the 1 in a million who get COVID and potentially die from it. But it's also the fact that as this continues to happen, the odds are a lot higher that we will get killed by police than we would develop, a problem from the vaccine, or that we would develop, or that we would, even die of COVID-19. We are in a position in this country where the odds, I remember you were saying, you said on one episode, Rebecca, how you felt like COVID was getting closer and closer and closer to you, right? And I'm just thinking about how close these police shootings are to us, right? Every single day. We it's to the point where people actually know someone personally who was killed by a police officer, right? And that's because this has been a system that has been in place for so long, unchecked, unmonitored, and certainly undeterred from their aggression towards their murderous rage towards black people, because they still doing it. They still do it every single day. They don't care if they got body cameras. They don't care if cell phone footage. They smile for the gram. I mean, Derek Chauvin was smiling for the gram. He sat there and looked dead into the camera and didn't care that he was being filmed committing a murder. And that's because it is a level of disregard for black
hands
life.
in his pocket at the time too.
Chilling. Just like, how do you have that level of inhumanity, right? How can you be so inhumane? And it's because they really do believe that there's a level of superiority that they have over us, that they just can just dismiss the value of our lives, and they believe that they are the law. Just like you said, they believe that they are the law and they have the gun and they are the ones who can execute judgment. And one last thing, the Ma'Khia Bryant story, that's heartbreaking on so many different levels, because that was a baby. Like, and because she was, I saw somebody, Professor Crunk, who does a lot of feminist scholarship. She tweeted yesterday about, because she was a bigger girl, that they saw her as a threat. Right. They saw her as a woman, they saw her as a grown woman, and they saw her as a threat, and never took into consideration what she was going through. But what compounds it more is that every single day I'm having to check people who look like me, who are, damn it, excusing her execution because she had a knife and she was out there fighting. And I'm like, if we can't even get black folks to understand how the system of white supremacy works, how the hell are we going to get white folks to understand how the system of white supremacy works?
It's like, it's not, I still can't sleep about that murder. I still can't. It's hard for me to sleep. And I'm like, I get online and, like you said, Ben, it's always, my block ministry is real. If I see one person that's saying, but look at, she had a knife, and then they're dropping more news articles and videos that say, did you hear her say, I'm going to kill you? I mean, I've heard in my own household.
I've said that plenty of times. Not in my household, but yeah.
And no, in my household growing up as kids, and not to say that this is okay, but because of the way that we were living, and it wasn't the best atmosphere at a point. So the arguments and the fights led to things that we probably felt like this would protect us from whatever, and thank God. But how many arguments and fights that I've seen, and I got a best friend, like I said this story before when I heard about this story. I had a best friend who literally pulled a knife out on her foster sister. I was there. Pulled a knife out on her foster sister and said that she would. But they've always argued, and, she just wanted to stop being bullied. Yeah. As the only Haitian girl in that system that she was in that household. And she was just wanted to stop being bullied. And, I don't think y'all could understand or know or want to know what that girl was going through, what that baby was going through. The only thing that you guys are seeing is what you saw they keep putting out, and what the neighbors gave, and what the woman who was trying to attack her was. The woman said, quote, she was trying to kill me, so he got her.
Oh, that.
And this is
she got on TV and said that?
Grown women, no, during an interview. Grown woman. Now, this is a grown woman who used to be her foster sister, who used to be a foster child in this house. They were preparing for a party for the owner, for the mom, the foster mother. The bullying had to come to a stop. They argued, but I believe that child was being bullied, but by grown women, mind you. So they're treating her like she was grown. So she had to defend herself against these grown women. So and now they're trying
Rebecca,
to say,
I don't mean to I need some clarification here, Rebecca, because that's gonna send me. Yeah. We're talking about Ma'Khia.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that the women that she was fighting against, they were grown? They weren't children too?
No, they weren't. They were grown women. They were former foster kids in that home. They were older than her, yes. And she,
right.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Nah, I'll say this on the after party. Yeah. And then she got the nerve to get on TV and say that.
She basically was being interviewed, because I read this in an article 2 days ago. And she was like, well, she was trying to kill me, so they got her.
Let me tell you something. Karma is real. And she better go, I don't know who she prayed to, but she better go pray to somebody, because she just got a 16-year-old baby girl killed, and she's a grown-ass woman. Why was she even fighting a child? Like, where they do that at? Mm-hmm. Where is it okay for grown folks to fight children? And then she got her raggedy ass on television and said she was trying to stab me, so they got her. Okay. Anyway.
It fit the narrative of the police officers as well. So it's all working out, because the way that, if I would have never been introduced to the story the way that I was, and that's basically from eyes on the ground, people who found out about it and was like, oh, no, this is a child. Get the story out before they do. I would have received because I used to write for publications too. And I would have received that in that way. This little girl was trying to kill. And I wouldn't have looked at her like a little girl, because they made sure, because we were confused about her being 15 or 16, which tells us that she just turned 16. But they wanted to make sure they used her oldest age. They put out the body cam footage of her with the knife. And they made sure that they went to the neighbor, got their footage of her being in the verbal argument, saying, I'm going to kill you. Leave me alone. Like, y'all going to stop messing with me. They made
what
sure
is
they
she
put
supposed
that
to
out.
do against an adult?
So
she's supposed to just sit there and square up and box an adult. She did exactly what I pulled a knife on an adult one time. Okay. What was I supposed to do? I was a child in a situation with an adult that required me to pull a knife. And now it's just like, now I'm like listening from a whole different perspective, because these are grown people who were traumatizing a child. And now what kills me is that the story around the nation is, oh, she got what she deserved. All right, folks, I'm like 2 seconds away from saying something that's going to get my entire channel suspended. So Jay, let's get out of here. Let's get the hell out of this public show. Let's go to the after party. Dwayne, run us up. Let's go to a quick break as we transition. We've got a lot more stories, but I just think it's best for us to get off the air right now, because that story is sending me into a whole different place, and we just, it's gonna be what it's gonna be at this point. But what we're not gonna do is we're not gonna allow this narrative about Micaiah to stand. We're gonna challenge it every single time somebody opens their mouth to say something, because look at all the levels of how she has been failed. Start from the top.
Yep.
No, you could list them. From her family to the foster system, to the foster parents, to the grown ass people who were out there laughing at them fighting, to the grown women who came to fight her, to fight a child, to the police officer who came on the scene and didn't even think twice about, maybe I can save everybody's life instead of killing anybody, because this is a black person. Nobody's going to care if I kill a black person. Down to the media, down to black folks who swear they woke. They can't see one step past the narrative that's put on television. To Don Lemon's old bitch ass.
Anyway. What did he say? Don't tell me.
Don Lemon defending the shoot. He's saying, "Oh well, anyway, I can't."
Because when you're wrapped like a bacon over, what is it? The pigs on the blanket type thing. When you're wrapped in that way, in white supremacy, when you're wrapped in white money, white dough, pigs in a blanket. When you're wrapped in that, you have to speak from that point of view. When you're living that, if I was protected by the cops in my community, like my neighbors are, and, I had the money and I had the, whatever, I probably would be thinking and walking in the same way. Money makes people act different, especially when money comes from white folks, right? And so he's looking at it from that point of view. Like, he doesn't remember who Don Lemon was 40 years ago. He remembers who Don Lemon is right now and where Don Lemon is living. So,
but give him a minute, give him a moment for him to get on television and sound like he's super black. Nah, bro.
And get with Cuomo and allow Cuomo to say that he got a little bit of black in him. Because it's cool to say that on air. You know, it's cool to be black, you know, and cry on air.
Yeah.
When these things are happening. But when things are shifty and we see something that may be wrong, but now we're like, let me stand on this side of it. Instead of saying our system, our people, we got to call out our own on this one, guys. You know, we failed that little girl somewhere, which caused that failed system to come in and take her life.
Yes.
So that's the conversation that should be had. And that community and that environment that she was in is not, she was not the only one that has been through. I watched my best friend get raised in a home like that. Okay. So that to me, when I heard foster, I already knew.
You already know.
I already knew.
You already know. You already know. Cause then, and I don't particularly know anything about her mother.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't they put her mother on TV to speak about how
the first person on TV to speak, and you can tell. I don't want to prejudge y'all, but you can tell there's a disconnect somewhere, you know, with her and the child. But that she loves her child, but there's something that's disconnected, and she was in such shock that her child was gone. I can tell that she was. Whatever is wrong with the mother and whatever caused the child to be
taken from the home or not be in the home. Yeah.
Yes. There is something, you can tell there was something that the mother was working on for herself to get her baby back. Like, you know, but it was there's a disconnect there. But there's also a shock value that like my child is gone. And I'm like, the fact that they put her on TV to try again, like I said, to show you this mother isn't even showing any emotions. So something must have been wrong with that kid. It must have been the kid.
Versus something wrong with the mother.
Yeah. So I'm
telling you, something wrong with the foster parents.
The way that I watched how all of it, I looked at it and I said, let me just like put the pieces that they put out together. And it just was created to make that baby girl seem like a threat, she was so dangerous to the community. So dangerous to the community, so dangerous that her mother had to give her up. So dangerous,
and
that
Rebecca,
you could hear her being yelling on the neighbor's cam. That's how dangerous she was. She was being so loud and belligerent. You can hear her yelling on the neighbor's cam what she was about to do. She's so dangerous that if the cop didn't shoot her right then and there, she would have sliced up everybody that was standing there.
Everybody. She was a threat to humanity. And the kicker. She was the one that called the police.
And
she felt like she was in danger.
Benjamin P. Dixon. That is what bothers me, is because now they're putting out that we can't verify now. We don't want to say it was. We don't want to say it wasn't her that called the police. You see, So I read just yesterday that
against adults. You know, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Rebecca, but for them to call the police, this girl was abused, right? Let's just call a thing. This girl was exploited and abused because you had all those adults sitting around there laughing, and it was ha kiki. It was, they fighting. It was all fun and games. And then that dude who was in the video got upset after the girl was dead. No, sir. You were participating in the exploitation of that child. You thought that fight was funny. Every single step of this system failed that child. And I swear to God, it ain't going to be on our end. We ain't going to fail her in her memory and her legacy. Right. Because, you know, and I want us to get going forward, David, just a note. Let's grab her TikTok videos because I want people to see her for who she was, because the least we can do, if everybody failed her in life, I swear to God, we're not going to fail her in death.
No,
we're not going to fail her in death.
The same way that I don't know why. I just feel so connected to that little girl. When I look at her, I'm like, dang, she kind of resembles Breonna Taylor, you know? And Breonna Taylor's life was cut so short that even if she would have made it to that point, she wouldn't have still lived her full life. Breonna didn't live her full life, and that baby didn't even get a chance to become an adult.
Was Breonna 26? Yeah, 26. That's not even
16.
It's 26 and 16.
And even when I think about Sandra Bland, I'm like, these are people we have yet, and I'm not trying to, cause a divide. No, we're going to continue to support everybody, every Black person specifically for me who gets shot down. We're going to say their names, and we're going to continue to say their names, but I don't want to only say the Black woman's name. I want for these Black women to get justice too. Something, right?
Yeah.
Because I just think about these women, and I get so frustrated, and I get so hurt, and I get so shook because I'm like, Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor,
traffic stop for Sandra Bland, sleeping in the bed for Breonna Taylor, and defending herself from Ma'Khia Bryant.
And we have no answers, no indictments,
for nothing, for any of them,
for none of them. And we shook the world just like we did with George Floyd with Breonna Taylor. But
I still ain't got nothing. Nothing.
Not a thing. Not a thing. So, when I think about that baby, you right, Ben. We gotta continue to, no matter what. I don't care. I don't care what nobody tells me. No matter what this world tries to make me believe, I will not. I will stand on what I believe about that baby. And that baby went through something that nobody can understand. And she wanted to defend herself. You can't tell me somebody who's making TikToks, literally
smiling and glowing.
To just all she's doing is hair tutorials, showing people how to lay their edges down and trying to, maybe that was her moments of peace. Maybe that was the only time she got quiet in that house. Maybe that was the only time she felt beautiful. Maybe that was the only time she felt seen.
And they're not even going to press charges against the woman that was beating her up, that was fighting her.
I don't know.
At a minimum, I swear to God, that lady better catch a charge.
I doubt it, because they're framing it, and it's funny because the city who put out the statement was saying we wanted to be very transparent. I never seen a video come out so fast in my life. They put that video out in 2 seconds. We wanted to be transparent about it. It came out 10 seconds later. Now, the Andrew story that we were just covering, how long? We're getting things in bits back to normal, bits and pieces of the story.
Yep.
Bits and pieces of the story. Bits and pieces of that body.
Because what they know that the attention span of Americans, the ability to analyze for Americans, is basically just a headline, right? And a screenshot. Mm-hmm. The screenshot of her holding the knife and the headline is all that Americans do to actually process what side of the equation they're on, right? So they knew in putting out this video of Ma'Khia Bryant, they knew that would do exactly what it did, which was, it's the same thing they did with Michael Brown. Mm-hmm. They didn't have any video of Michael Brown being executed by Darren Wilson in Ferguson. But what they did have was Michael Brown maybe an hour before having a confrontation with a gas station clerk where they had a little confrontation, and they put that video out because they knew once they put that video out, it would vilify Michael Brown to the point where nobody would be unified in their pursuit of justice for the murder of Michael Brown. And I remember it clear as day, leading up to them releasing that video of Michael Brown in the convenience store. Even Fox News, racist as Fox News, was on the side. Everybody was unified. There was a week when we got the reporting from what was happening in Ferguson, and we saw how the police were cracking down in Ferguson, and they had tanks, they had assault rifles, they had military grade equipment crushing reporters and protesters in Ferguson. You had everybody, including Fox News, saying enough is enough. And so what did they do? They put out the video that would divide us, which was Michael Brown at the convenience store. And then all of a sudden you had people well, he was a thug. He was a blah, 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 blah. They know, and this is what they do intentionally. They have no concern whatsoever about what led to the situation and why that girl was fighting for her life and why grown adults were fighting and watching her get beat up.
And trying to attack her. I will never forget, and I hate that I saw the way that baby girl fell to the floor. I hate that I saw that because it's messing with me. And I just, I just hate that, people want to make her a monster, and I cannot sit by and allow that. I don't care if I'm the only one for the rest of my life that stands on this side of it. I will always stand on this side of it, because imagine if it was yours. Imagine if it was your sister. Imagine if it was your niece.
If it was you.
Imagine if it was you. I got bullied so bad as a child in school because of the language that I spoke, because of my culture, because of the family I went to. But then when I met my best friend, who was the only Haitian child from Haiti in her foster care, who was getting attacked by grown women in her home. And she had to defend herself with things like a knife, with statues laying around. Like, come on now. So y'all have to understand, there's a system. This thing is very systemic, not only in the police force, but in the communities too. Y'all allow these things to happen. Y'all think it's okay to be fighting in this way, or for grown people.
World Star.
Kids. Yeah, we'll put it on World Star. Make sure that, how many times do I scroll through Twitter and, see people stomping on people's heads and people saying, oh yeah, that's, whatever. And just a regular fight in the community. Just somebody pulling up, a grown woman pulling up to go fight a teenager. It's too normal. And I cannot, and this is where I call out my folks. This is where I call out Black folks. It's not cute. It ain't right. And we need to stop that. We need to stop that. And I understand people are saying, we're a product of our environment. Listen, I know so many other environments of people who don't do that. So it's kind of like, we gotta stop playing to that, because when cops pull up, they're going to use that.
And what exactly. Exactly. You took the words literally out my mouth. I was just getting ready to say, is what they're doing is finding out exactly what they can get away with. Right. And they know very clearly, they know exactly what can neutralize the collective Black voice that stands up in these moments. And that is to show anything that makes that person look less than an angel. If there's one thing that makes that person look less than an angel, you're going to have some Black folks who are going to line up on the opposite side. Well,
Mike Brown, like you just said, they made sure they put that footage out of that little boy and made him seem like he was monster. Whatever, because of the community that he lives in. Like, understand, this is what I'm saying. Like, that's why we got to do better. And I feel like we're starting to know better. We no longer don't have access to stuff. We can see now. We can understand. We can start. Like, that's why it's up to us to definitely go out into our communities. Like, that's why I say, Don Lemon, when you got this seat, you got to utilize that thing. You know what I'm saying? Like the white man, the Black man that was sitting next to that white man, you got to use
in the Louisiana clip.
The local state leaders and the city leaders, we got to start making sure y'all got voices, not only to help out the white folks that you're working with so that you can keep your seat. Start calling that stuff out. I love to see Cori Bush. I love to see it, because she's not playing around. She's not sticking to the norm when it comes to the things that she does. She said she went to go where she's from and go and check out the prison system there, how the people are living. Yeah. Do you think any other leaders are doing that? She wanted to see how it was. She can see what needs to change. This is what we're talking about. You might be from the hood, but we're going to change what it's like. We're going to make sure we're protecting those. We're going to make sure we're creating a different kind of system. When we get into these seats and we get into these positions and we have influence in some particular type of way. That's why I'm like, our influence here on Like It or Not, you will never see us discussing Ma'Khia Bryant the way that the rest of the media is. It's not happening here. It's not happening here. It won't.
They don't care. They don't care about, but except for their situations, like Andrew Cuomo and his brother Chris Cuomo, right? They gonna make sure that they get enough nuance in the conversation about the charges against Andrew Cuomo and the sexual harassment assault accusations. They're gonna get the nuance necessary there. They'll wade in all of the weeds of any particular issue that is important to them. But if it's a black life, open and shut case. She had a knife. She deserved to die. It was a baby girl, 16, and all we have now is just this division where folks are like, they've moved on.
All we have is the TikToks of her, and all we have is the visual of her with the knife. You guys, every time I think about that, I get chills, because that is not something that we should have saw. A baby girl who was defending herself turn around and be shot down to the floor.
Meanwhile, that video, somebody put it out this week, video of a black police officer got stabbed in the neck by a white man and still took that man down without killing him.
If that police officer would have just stepped armored,
just grab. I mean, literally,
you're trained. You're trained to put yourself in that area of danger. You're trained for that. But you were so scared that she was going to come and stab you and stab the whole community. Everybody was about to get stabbed while you had bullets and you shot her 4 times. My God.
Yeah. I know we've been on this for a minute. We're going to get off of it. We're going to move on because we're going to speak about it.
That makes no sense. Because
we're going to speak about it as much as we can.
Because it makes no damn sense. It does not. I can't wrap my head around how they're trying to frame this, and I can't wrap my head around how people will look at this and people who
because they just gave an excuse to police officers. They gave an excuse to the collective movement. This is when you can stand down. Stand down when there's anything questionable. Okay.
And a black girl that looks like a grown woman to you is dangerous. Shoot her now. Shoot her dead. But, Ma'Khia Bryant, I pray, that your mother finds some kind of peace, and the people who love you find some kind of peace, and we will always honor you, beautiful, beautiful girl. We will always honor you. I hate that I had to find out that beautiful name the way that we did and see that beautiful face the way that we did. I wish that you were able to just continue to live your life, go to college, possibly FAMU. I wish that was a thing for you, but we're going to keep and continue to keep your legacy as long as we can. The same thing with Breonna Taylor. And whenever these conversations come up, definitely Sandra Bland. So,
all right, Dwayne.
Hate to leave y'all heavy, but
yeah. Let's go over to the let's go over to the at least 30 minutes of the after party.
Yeah.
Click the share, like, and subscribe button. Tell people about like it or not. We're going to keep doing the work whether they like it or not. We'll see you at the after party.
For bags, gotta get this money cause I never had it. I'm feeling like Badu, the way I carry my baggage.
Shout out everybody in the chat room, y'all. Make sure that y'all hit that like button, hit that like button, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, y'all. So you know when like it or not is going down.
Still trying to get paid, still trying to find out, still trying to access.
CLCR, that's the whole point. Gotta get you up early, moving around.
He'll be dead or in prison shampoo. Yeah, these are all
Nikki Johnson, good morning.
And we put inside the minds of our children. Can't you see we in despair? Look around, we got crime everywhere. But you still sell false hope, cause you just don't care. No, you just don't care.